on the van. It's all coming together, just kind of an update. Going to bring it in Thursday, hopefully, or Friday at the latest, hopefully. And as you should know, if you've been watching the videos, I'm having the rear air and heat, the units and all the lines under the van removed so they can be reinstalled, which is why I'm having somebody else remove it, so they can be reinstalled in another guy's van. I'm also having an issue since I did the lift. You know, I did the S10 springs after I did the lift, which really raised the rear much higher than I wanted, so I lowered the rear a little bit, and I was going to lower it a little bit more, but I decided to just experiment and crank up the front end a little more. And I do like the ride height, and I like having the extra room between the wheel well and the tire for that articulation. But, as some of you know already, if you want more articulation, and if you want to solve this camber issue, it seems like a lot of us have this camber issue on the right tire, passenger side there. So there's a ball joint flip. So I'm going to do that. And this is something I can do, but I may have the garage do it just because I'm kind of busy. I'm working my ass off in the shop right now, and I don't really necessarily have the extra few hours to get into that. Anyhow, that's what's happening, update with the van. One of the things about the van that I don't hear people mention too often, of course I'm not searching it out, is that what you guys are doing, whether you know it or not, whether you're into it, I know it kind of has a bit of a negative connotation, I suppose, or people think that some of these people are crazy with this sort of mindset, but what you're doing with your van or any vehicle, if you're outfitting it with a way to sleep in it and store food, and maybe you got power and solar or a generator or whatever, is you're really creating a bug-out vehicle. Perfect bug-out vehicle. That was always kind of in the back of my mind. Now I have a page on Facebook. It's called Los Angeles Urban Survival. It was kind of a side hustle years ago. I was a security forces Marine. I had that mindset. I'm always prepared for anything. When this latest thing happened with the pandemic and everybody was scrambling for toilet paper and everything, I was sitting here laughing because I was already prepared, as you should be. So I'll hire myself out as a consultant from time to time to help people harden their apartments or their homes, security-wise. I'm not into the technological aspect of it with cameras, but just physically making your doors safer, replacing locks, or showing you how to make things stronger. And then I'll also help you be prepared for whatever it is you might be afraid of. So you could be nervous about an earthquake or riots or the power going out, whatever. I've also taken people to the gun range where I'll do like a familiarization course. I believe everybody, including kids, should understand firearms. At least, you know, how to handle them safely. You never know what the situation may be, or you might find yourself in. You may pick up a handgun somewhere, find it in the bushes, somebody tossed it away. You always want to check to make sure that thing is safe, and you should know how to do that. So I'll take people out, and we'll shoot everything from single action army revolvers, like the old cowboy guns, to well, that's single action, yeah. And it's a semi-auto, double action rather, revolvers, the semi-auto pistols, automatic pistols, then bolt action rifles, lever action rifle, automatic, semi-automatic rifles with a magazine, and even shotguns. And at least then you know how they operate. And then the fear is gone then. You fire a few rounds off of from all these weapons and tools, and then you're not afraid of them anymore. And now you know how to safely check to see if they're loaded, unload them, that sort of thing. So I do all that. And, you know, just a little background. My father was a child soldier during the Greek Civil War, from 9 years old to 14 years old, 1945 to 1950. And he was trained by British and American OSS and SAS. So he was a badass. And when I was 3, he was taking me on hunting trips, holding the 30-06 to my shoulder, letting me squeeze off around. By the time I was 8, I could survive in the woods with a knife. You know, we would go out with just a sleeping bag, no tent or anything, sleeping on the ground, some snare wire, some fishing line and hooks, do a trout line, set some snares, and you'd live for days eating for free. I just grew up with that. It was just a natural thing for me. I was always out in the woods, hiking, climbing stuff. He raised me not to be afraid of anything. Combined with the fact that I've always tried to stay physically fit. And if you know me, if you're a friend of mine, you know I'm always kind of preaching at least some basic physical fitness. You should be able to lift your body weight. You should keep it together. Situational awareness, self-defense. All these things are just part of my MO, you know. Now, I had a true real world, I know people don't want to believe this, but I had a Bigfoot experience that really rattled my cage, and I didn't know it was, wasn't thinking Bigfoot at the time, but the experience, it's funny, the experience rattled my mind, and I didn't go back in the forest for 20 years. And I didn't even think of it as a Bigfoot thing. I literally blocked it from my mind for a long time until these shows started coming out. I was like, well, then that's what happened to me. That's what happened. I had this, that's it. And I'll put a link later when I get home to that video that's on YouTube in the bottom description here. So, when I'm on YouTube now, I find myself watching more YouTube now that I'm doing it. And I do watch a lot of these, Sasquatch, Bigfoot related things. And I started watching these scenarios where people get lost in the wilderness, and unfortunately a lot of them perish. And sometimes we find remains, a lot of times we don't. Most of the time we don't, I think. So, and I was on some video, I made a comment because it was, this all ties together. And it does tie together with the Astro van to a certain extent, so I'm just here for the Astro van content. This is me, man. So, I was watching this video, and this lady, she was in her late 60s, and obviously she had some experience. She was hiking the Appalachian Trail, and her husband was leapfrogging her, like a support vehicle. And she was on the last leg, she was in Maine, she was in an area with no cell service, she went off the trail to go to the bathroom, got lost, couldn't find her way back, couldn't connect with anybody with the cell phone. They couldn't find her. She was later found, months later. She had set up a campsite less than a quarter mile from the trail, had a diary, they had her cell phone texts. So we know what happened to her, and it's just sad. And so the point I make with this, there's another part of this too, where in the video there was some people other people have been hiking, these people were missing, but other hikers had heard them cry for help, but then didn't do anything about it. Like, they didn't try to help or look around for them very hard. They would just finish their hike and then report it to somebody. And a real world story happened to me like that, where I was coming down off of a mountain with a friend of mine. I have to admit, I was kind of feeling kind of good, and I heard this faint call for help. Backtracked a little bit, and I heard it again, and I went to the edge of this mountain, and I had to get to the edge and look over, and here's this guy clinging to this mountain. He's scared shitless. Now, the friend I was with was like, let's call 911. I said, well, if we call 911, we're a little bit, and we're going to have to sit here and wait for somebody to get here, and there's going to be a helicopter and a rescue crew. Let me deal with this, I could deal with this. Not a big deal. It didn't look that dangerous to me. It wasn't like some steep, crazy rock climbing thing. It was kind of steep. It was mostly sandy. That's what happened to him. He couldn't get any traction. He was just scared. He was frozen, scared. So I got down to him. I talked to him. I calmed him down. I explained to him what we're going to do. We're going to go back down. I'm going to get under you. I'm going to show you where I'm holding and putting my feet. You're going to do the same thing. We're going to go real slow. I made him trust me. And that's what we did. And I got him down off, and he was so happy, man. I mean, he was just so happy I helped him out. But this guy was unprepared. He was wearing Pumas with untucked laces, like not even tied. He just didn't have the right footwear, didn't have the right mindset. He was hiking with his friends. He's like, oh, I'll climb up this. I'll meet you guys up there. What made you think you could do that? My point, the point I'm trying to make is, like, you're going to take your van, you're going to go out in the woods. You're going to camp out, you're going to do all these things. Maybe you've hiked your whole life, but you did a lot of camping. That doesn't make you an outdoorsman. Doesn't mean you're a survivalist. Right? Check yourself, because you can get yourself in a dangerous situation. Understand situational awareness. Know that you can go a few yards off of a trail and suddenly not know how to get back if you aren't thinking this out. So mark things, break a branch so you know. Look, be visual. I'm going to go off here, here's this big tree. I know that tree is how I got to get back. You can have a compass. You don't need to know how to utilize a compass to navigate with a map, shooting an azimuth and whatnot. But if you look at your compass and you go, okay, I'm going north here, I'm going to go west here to get off this trail, take your dump, get off and go, okay, now I got to go east. Okay, here's east. And then you'll get the trail again. Just know these things. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Carry basic survival stuff on your person. A whistle is great. It carries further than yelling. I've got a video on here, maybe I'll put a link to. It's an old one. I need to redo it, where I did a survival shirt. So basically you have a shirt, and in the pocket you have all the gear you need. It's always on you. If you lose your pack, if you're in a canoe tips over, you still got your shirt on, you can still make a fire and survive. Anyhow, Astro van, any van you're using, you're getting in the wilderness, it's a bug-out vehicle. You should have the gear in it that you need to survive. You should have the right kind of mindset. Don't bite off more than you could chew. Pay attention to what you're doing out there and stay safe. Be good to one another. Everything I do and every video I do is just about trying to help people out. That's why I went into service in the first place. I wanted to help people out. They say the meek shall inherit the earth. The only way the meek are going to inherit the earth is if there's people who care about things bigger than themselves and are willing to confront evil. So have a good day. Be good. Should start working on the Astro van in the late afternoons and weekends after this weekend. So bye.